roots of harness racing are born at the county fairs. For over 150 years, people have gathered to watch horses battle it out for fame and glory. Catch the thrills this summer at an Ohio Fair Racing Conference County Fair. The OFRC races at 21 fairs in 19 Ohio counties. Trotters and pacers put it all on the line to be called the best in the Buckeye State. The Ohio Racing Conference, where the path to greatness begins.
Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Bill Peters. On behalf of the directors of the Ohio Fair Racing Conference, along with Renee Mancino, Susan Schroeder, Todd Brown, and myself, I would like to welcome you to the 7th Annual Ohio Fair Racing Conference Awards festivities. Due to COVID-19, this year's affair is an awards show instead of an awards banquet. The awards show is produced by Frank Frost with assistance from Roger Houston, Trottin Pace Marketing, and the track photographers at various fairs in the Ohio Fair Racing Conference. I want to thank our sponsors for the awards for our Ohio Fair Racing Conference champions and runners-up, leading driver and leading trainer. Those sponsors are the Buckeye Classic Yearling Sale, Sean McGee Financial Services, J&B Feed Company Incorporated of Wauseon, Shirey Animal Clinic, Dr. Jason Kesson, DVM, Hickory Lane Horse Farm, the family of Kermit Peter, the Defiance County Area Horsemen's Association, the Williams County Harness Horsemen's Association, and Sylvie Rose Bears. I also want to thank Ray and Ann Lufkin for sponsoring the award for the leading driver in the Springhaven Farm Ladies Driving Series. On behalf of fans of Ohio Fair Harness Racing all over the world, I want to thank the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association, Don Holden and Clyde and Teresa Maddox of Trottin Pace Marketing, Tom Pye, Keith Gisser, Frank Frost, Roger Houston, Susan Schroeder, and Austin Scott for the live stream broadcasts of racing throughout the summer to fill the void where spectators were not allowed to attend the fairs due to COVID-19. And now, on with the show.
The 2-year-old Colt Pace runner-up is sponsored by the Williams County Harness Horsemen's Association. This year's runner-up is Rally Your Crew. Rally Your Crew was sired by Charlie Barley out of the Feelin' Frisky mare Extreme Prejudice and was bred at the Ohio State ATI. Rally Your Crew is owned and trained by Russell Sutherland. This year's winning driver was Art McElmurray.
As they come to the top of the stretch, and it's Rally Your Crew off the rail with the lead. On the inside is Sleeping Single, but it's Rally Your Crew to win.
In 2020, Rally Your Crew started 11 races, winning 4, finishing second twice, and finishing third 3 times. Earnings of $13,971. Taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 159-3 at Montpelier.
They've got 1/8 of a mile to go. Into the stretch, Rally Your Crew has the lead. KB Mack trying to close the gap. Coming to the wire, it's Rally Your Crew. KB Mack, Rally Your Crew, drawn away by 5, and here they are.
The 2-year-old Colt Pace runner-up, Rally Your Crew. The 2-year-old Colt Pace champion is sponsored by Buckeye Classic Yearling Sale. This year's champion is Rockin Republic. Rockin Republic was sired by Pet Rock out of the Dragon Again mare by Juliana's Girl and was bred by L&J Racing. Rockin Republic is owned by Dossie Minor, trained by Ron Gillespie. This year's winning drivers included Ronald Gillespie and Greg Bateson.
Racing toward home, that's Rockin Republic, Willie's Last Wish, and Desperado. Rockin Republic and Willie's Last Wish. It's going to be Rockin Republic, and here they all come.
In 2020, Rockin Republic started 12 races, winning 6, finishing second 1 time, and finishing third 2 times. Earnings $27,522, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 158 at Hicksville.
Into the stretch, Rockin Republic with the lead. They're closing on him. Ron Gillespie and Rockin Republic.
The 2-year-old Colt Pace champion, Rockin Republic.
The 2-year-old Colt Trot runner-up is sponsored by the Defiance County Area Horsemen Association. This year's runner-up is PCs Cruiser. PCs Cruiser was sired by Triumphant Caviar out of the Carry the Message mare Postcard and was bred by Jeff Lemmer. PCs Cruiser is owned by Jeff Lemmer, trained by Mike Sweeney. This year's winning drivers included Art McElmurray and Chris Presley.
And it's still PC's Cruiser and Art McElmurray with the lead. Over 6 is 4 lengths back in second. Striking Lion is third. PC's Cruiser over 6, trying to make a race of it late here. PC's Cruiser over 6. PC's Cruiser looks to hold on.
In 2020, PC's Cruiser started 13 races, winning 6, finishing second 1 time, and finishing third 1 time, earning $23,674, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 205-1 at Mount Gilead.
They're at the top of the stretch and a drive for the wire. PC's Cruiser on the inside. Final Class on the outside. PC's Cruiser in Final Class. Final Class in PC's Cruiser. PC's Cruiser holds on to win it.
The 2-year-old Colt Trot runner-up, PC's Cruiser. The 2-year-old Colt Trot champion is sponsored by Shirey Animal Clinic. This year's champion is Oh My Heart. Oh My Heart was sired by Don't You Forget It out of the Muscle Hill mare Peg Oh My Heart and was bred by Yuri Byler. Oh My Heart is owned by Jason Hanna and Kim Haver, trained by Jason Hanna. This year's winning drivers included Art McElmurray, Cameron McCowan, and Pierce Henry.
As they turn for home, that's Oh My Heart will lead, but here comes Frankie B on the outside. As they race through the lane, it's Oh My Heart and Frankie B. Oh My Heart and Frankie B. It's gonna be Oh My Heart, and here they all come.
In 2020, Oh My Heart started 12 races, winning 8, finishing second 1 time, and finishing third 2 times. Earnings were $39,331, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 205-3 at Hicksville.
As they race toward home, it's Oh My Heart and Jay's on my feet. Alice Final Class goes off stride. Looks like the money for this race is going to go to Marshall and Bellevue, Michigan with Oh My Heart.
The 2-year-old Colt Trot champion, Oh My Heart.
The 3-year-old Colt Pace runner-up is sponsored by the Defiance County Area Horsemen Association. This year's runner-up is Chris Will See. Chris Will See was sired by We Will See out of the Cambest mare Felicity Cam and was bred by Charles Hartzell. Chris Will See is owned by Ryan Moorfield, trained by Art McElmurray and C. Brian Loney. This year's winning driver was Art McElmurray.
As they race toward home, that's Chris Will See and Regimeister. Chris Will See and Regimeister. Chris Will See and Regimeister. It's Chris Will See.
In 2020, Chris Will See started 15 races, winning 4, finishing second 4 times and finishing third 3 times, earning $16,511. Taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 2 minutes at Oak Harbor.
as they turn for home. That's Chris Wilsey, McCarter, and McLover Boy. Chris Wilsey, McCarter, and McLover Boy. Chris Wilsey and McCarter. It's going to be Chris Wilsey, and here the outcome.
The 3-year-old Colt Pace runner-up, Chris Wilsey. The 3-year-old Colt Pace champion is sponsored by J&B Feed Company, Incorporated of Wauseon. This year's champion is Sweet Oliver. Sweet Oliver was sired by 3 olives out of the Modern Art mare Sugar Biscuit and was bred at Ohio State ATI. Sweet Oliver is owned by Sandra Hennessy and Paula Sugars, trained by Sandra Hennessy. This year's winning driver was Ed Hennessy.
As they race toward home, that's Sweet Oliver and Pappy's Legacy. Sweet Oliver and Pappy's Legacy. It's gonna be Sweet Oliver, and here the outcome.
In 2020, Sweet Oliver started 14 races, winning 8 and finishing second 3 times. Earnings of $19,884. Taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 157.3 at Tiffin.
As they race toward home, that's Sweet Oliver and Denson Wivenell. Sweet Oliver and Denson Wivenell. It's going to be Sweet Oliver, and here the outcome.
The 3-year-old Colt Pace champion, Sweet Oliver.
The 3-year-old Colt Trot runner-up is sponsored by the Williams County Harness Horsemen's Association. This year's runner-up is Trottin For Cash. Trottin For Cash was sired by Cash Hall out of the Corleone mare Rose Run Joni and was bred by Tony Langen. Trottin For Cash was owned and trained by Tony Langen. This year's winning driver was Skip DeMall. In 2020, Trottin For Cash started 14 races, winning 4, finishing second 4 times, and finishing third 2 times, earning $22,916, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 201-4 at Tiffin.
As they turn toward home, that's Trottin For Cash and Storm's coming. Trottin For Cash and Storm's coming, and they race to the lane. It's going to be Trottin For Cash. And here the outcome.
The 3-year-old Colt Trot runner-up, Trottin For Cash. The 3-year-old Colt Trot champion is sponsored in memory of Kermit Peter. This year's champion is Time Storm. Time Storm was sired by Storm and Normand out of the Majestic Sun mare Timel Sonata and was bred by Chris Beaver. Time Storm is owned by Ted Boschma, trained by Kent Hess. This year's winning drivers included John Moody, David Lake, and Ronnie Wren Jr.
Moving around the turn to the top of the stretch, he's looking for his 4th straight win, and it's Time Storm. Time Storm leads the way. Over their second, Trottin For Cash, but Time Storm is rolling home a winner. Time Storm in front.
In 2020, Time Storm started 16 races, winning 10, finishing second 1 time, and finishing third 1 time, earning $51,001. Taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 159-4 at Tiffin.
As they race for home, that's Time Storm and Trottin For Cash. Time Storm and Trottin For Cash. It's gonna be Time Storm, and here the outcome.
The 3-year-old Colt Trot champion, Time Storm.
The 2-year-old Philly Pace runner-up is sponsored by the Defiance County Area Horsemen Association. This year's runner-up is Sister Said. Sister Said was sired by Wells Said out of the Sportsmaster mare Sister Pippa and was bred by Andrew Troyer. Sister Said is owned by Henry Trimble, trained by Derek Flowers, and this year's winning driver was Derek Flowers.
with the lead. Fever's Last Cruise, Sister Said on the outside. They're at the top of the stretch. Fever's Last Cruise and Sister Said, they were right together at Paulding, looking to be right together today. Sister Said on the outside, Fever's Last Cruise at the rail. Sister Said getting it done.
In 2020, Sister Said started 14 races, winning 6, finishing second 3 times, and finishing third 3 times, with earnings of $32,272, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 2:01-2 at Oak Harbor.
As they race through the lane, that's Sister Said and Cousin Margie. Sister Said and Cousin Margie. It's gonna be Sister Said, and here the outcome.
The 2-year-old filly pace runner-up, Sister Said. The 2-year-old filly pace champion is sponsored by Sean McGee Financial Services. This year's champion is Fever's Last Cruise. Fever's Last Cruise was sired by Indian Fever out of the Yankee Cruiser mare Cruisin' and Surfin' and was bred by D&K Stables. Fever's Last Cruise is owned by D&K Stables, trained by Bill Webb. This year's winning drivers were Mark Hedworth, John Moody, David Lake, and Josh Sutton.
Into the stretch they come. Fever's Last Cruise trying to hang on. Closing on the outside, Lady Says Win. Coming to the wire, Fever's Last Cruise.
In 2020, Fever's Last Cruise started 13 races, winning 7, finishing second 2 times, and finishing third 2 times. Earnings of $29,261, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 158-1 at Delaware.
That's Fever's Last Cruise at the rail. Sister Said on the outside, and along the rail third is Scarlet Gray. As they race for home, that's Fever's Last Cruise and Sister Said. Fever's Last Cruise and Sister Said. Fever's Last Cruise and Sister Said. It's Fever's Last Cruise.
The 2-year-old filly pace champion, Fever's Last Cruise.
The 2-year-old filly trot runner-up is sponsored by the Williams County Harness Horsemen's Association. This year's runner-up is Wishfulmar. Wishfulmar was sired by Wishing Stone out of the hard rock and roll mare Careful What You Wish and was bred at Bondley Farm. Wishfulmar is owned by William E. Marquis, trained by Bob Rowland. This year's winning driver was Bob Rowland.
It's gonna be Wishfulmar, and here the outcome.
In 2020, Wishfulmar started 13 races, winning 7, finishing second 2 times and finishing third 4 times, earning $22,178, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 206-4 at Van Wert.
They're racing head for head, nose for nose. They turn for home. Tulsa Bell at the rail. Wishfulmar on the outside. Racing third, Uncle Pete's Miss Cage. As they race through the lane, Tulsa Bell and Wishfulmar. Tulsa Bell at the rail. Wishfulmar on the outside. Tulsa Bell and Wishfulmar right together at the finish.
The 2-year-old filly trot runner-up, Wishfulmar. The 2-year-old filly trot champion is sponsored by Dr. Jason Kesson, DVM. This year's champion is Designer Specs. Designer Specs was sired by Full Count out of the Cantab Hall mare Avalon Hall and was bred by Marvin Raber. Designer Specs is owned by Louise and Jay Weller, trained by Jane Weller. This year's winning drivers included Jay Weller and Ryan Stahl.
They're at the top of the stretch. On the outside, Game On Girls. Inside, Designer Specs. She's a Mercedes on the grandstand side. Designer Specs battles at the rail. Outside is Game On Girls. Far outside, She's a Mercedes coming to the wire. Designer Specs look to hold on to win it.
In 2020, Designer Specs started 14 races, winning all 14 and earning $56,664, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 158-3 at Delaware.
Less than an 8 to go. It's all designer specs. A perfect 13 for 13. Designer specs.
The 2-year-old filly trot champion, Designer Specs.
The 3-year-old pace runner-up is sponsored by the Williams County Harness Horsemen's Association. This year's runner-up is Bad Ms. Johnson. Bad Ms. Johnson was sired by Big Bad John out of the artificial mare Geneva and was bred by Michael Gillock. Bad Ms. Johnson is owned by Rico Johnson, trained by Hank Levan. This year's winning drivers included Hank Levan and Louis Levan.
As they race toward home, it's gonna be Bad Ms. Johnson, and here the outcome.
In 2020, Bad Ms. Johnson started 26 races, winning 15, finishing second 3 times and finishing third 2 times, with earnings of $78,236, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 158-1 at Marysville.
Moving around the turn to the top of the stretch, and it's all Bad Ms. Johnson. Bad Ms. Johnson has just toyed with them today. If this was a fight, they'd have stopped it. It's Bad Ms. Johnson who is all alone.
The 3-year-old pace runner-up, Bad Ms. Johnson. The 3-year-old filly pace champion is sponsored by Hickory Lane Farm. This year's champion is Tiny Bit of Sky. Tiny Bit of Sky was sired by Major Stone out of the Western Ideal mare Skyway Hanover and was bred by Tommy Householder. Tiny Bit of Sky is owned by Tommy and Andrea Householder, trained by Russell Early III. This year's winning driver was Emma Wahlberg.
As they drive for home, that's Tiny Bit of Sky and Big G's Handy. Looks like the money for this race will go to Delaware, Ohio with Tiny Bit of Sky.
In 2020, Tiny Bit of Sky started 24 races, winning 7, finishing second 4 times, and finishing third 1 time. Earnings of $31,591, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 159-1 at Croton.
As they turn toward home, Tiny Bit of Sky was of another gear. Races away from the field. That's Tiny Bit of Sky and beautiful gorgeous in the race to the lane. It's gonna be Tiny Bit of Sky, and here the outcome.
3-year-old filly pace champion is Tiny Bit of Sky.
The 3-year-old filly trot runner-up is sponsored by the Defiance County Area Horsemen Association. This year's runner-up is Cell Service. Cell Service was sired by DeJombro out of the Jailhouse Jesse mare Fire in the Cell and was bred at Double Spring Farm. Cell Service was owned by John Koneski III and Patrick Koneski, trained by John Koneski III. Drivers included John Koneski III and Jason Thompson. In 2020, Cell Service started 21 races, winning 3, finishing second 9 times, earning $35,335, taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 204-3 at Wauseon.
Little more than an 1/8 of a mile to go in Ohio. Cell Service brings him into the stretch. Bruins Babe is second. Off stride, Rain Miss. Coming to the wire, it's Cell Service. Showing his heels to the field, John Koneski III.
The 3-year-old filly trot runner-up, Cell Service. The 3-year-old filly trot champion is sponsored by the Buckeye Classic Yearling Sale. This year's champion is Electric Ridge. Electric Ridge was sired by Triumph Caviar out of the Tom Ridge mare Franny's Ridge and was bred by Marion Beachy. Electric Ridge is owned by Chris Beaver, James Gallagher, Moger Delia Racing, and Steve Z. Handelar. trained by Chris Beaver. This year's winning drivers included Cam McGowan, Aaron Merriman, and Jeff Nysonger.
Less than an 8 to go. Electric Ridge into the stretch. No doubt about this one. It's all Electric Ridge. And Cam McGowan drawn away by 18 lengths.
In 2020, Electric Ridge started 20 races, winning 7, finishing second 4 times, and finishing third 4 times, earning $63,553. Taking a season's best Ohio Fair Racing Conference mark of 2:01 at Tiffin.
Moving around the final turn with the lead, Electric Ridge. Over their second, Little Jedi. Compass Rose DC is third. Trotting in their fourth, That Magic Feeling with Champagne on Ice. And through the stretch with the lead, it's Electric Ridge. Inside, still in there is a Little Jedi with Compass Rose DC. Electric Ridge.
The 3-year-old filly trot champion, Electric Ridge.
The Ohio Fair Racing Conference leading driver is sponsored by Sylvie Rose Bears. This year's leading driver is Cam McCowan. McCowan collected 27 wins this year, winning the title for the 4th straight year. Among his winning drives were 3 wins with the OFRC 3-year-old filly trot champion Electric Ridge and 2 wins with the 2-year-old Colt Trot champion Oh My Heart. The 2020 Ohio Fair Racing Conference Driver of the Year, Cam McCowan. The Ohio Fair Racing Conference leading trainer is sponsored by Sylvie Rose Bears. This year's leading trainer is Chris Beaver. Beaver sent 21 horses to the winner's circle this year as he won the title for the 4th time. He also was the top trainer in 2016, 2017, and 2018. Beaver is the trainer for the Ohio Fair Racing Conference 3-year-old filly trotting champion Electric Ridge. The 2020 Ohio Fair Racing Conference Trainer of the Year, Chris Beaver. The Springhaven Farm Ladies Driving Series is sponsored by Ray and Ann Lufkin. This year's Springhaven Ladies Driving Series champion is Mandy Jones. Jones collected 9 wins in the series in 2020, including wins at OFRC fairs at Paulding, Marion, Van Wert, and Delaware.
It's Sports Band, the leader. T-Red on the outside. Closing late on the outside, and Ultra Power. It's Sports Band and Mandy Jones.
The 2020 Springhaven Ladies Driving Series champion is Mandy Jones.
Well, that concludes the 2020 Ohio Fair Racing Conference Awards Show. I want to extend my congratulations to all of the award winners. In looking ahead to the 2021 fair racing season, I think that it's necessary for those of us with the responsibility of setting up the race programs for the fairs to do it in dual fashion. We have to have one set of plans for races with spectators being allowed and a second set of plans for races with spectators not being allowed. No matter which it might be, I look forward to the arrival of the 2021 Ohio Fair Racing Conference season, and that arrival will take place with the first night of racing at the Paulding County Fair, and that is just 205 days away. Good night, and stay healthy.